My good point. This is, by the way, Maui, I always rib you for, for all the other jangles on it's going to be about big or bloody, what event did Maui work last? I get they're brilliant. They are, Tommy, is it the way they take care of you? We all know the jokes, right? So this is going to be one of my own moments to be indulgent. Because I will say, this is a bit of a reach if you actually look who he played. But I'm going to do it anyway, Mauisnake. My good point is dev1ce's return. Oh, he was carrying, wasn't he? He was dropping 50. I mean, look, he was playing absolute nobodies. Like, understand, fans, I get it. It doesn't matter. None of these games matter. But even so, first of all, it does play completely into the wheelhouse of what I actually speculated would happen, which is, of all the players in Counter-Strike history, I think dev1ce might be the most durable. If you actually look, like, he seems to just have mastered how to, like, get his game to a level that he wants it to be at and how to play. Like, even when they said he was bad in Nip, dude, like, the floor on that play was amazing. He was still never, like, an actual bad player. He just wasn't at the level of Simple and Zero and the top 10 players. He's probably still, like, a top 10 to 20 player in the world. So it doesn't surprise me that he's come back and he's good. Like, spoiler, people know he's played a few face it pogs over the last few months. He's just a player where, like, I think he's got the mindset to compete. Skills are all obviously mega and have lasted years and years. So even though, look, this tournament doesn't matter. The CCT is just a tier 2, tier 3 thing that Astralis is only playing almost as a PR move just to get dev1ce on the server before the year ends. But, like, crucially for me, at least it shows he can play and he's willing to play matches again. And if he actually does start early next year, like, I would just predict he's good out the gate, man. Maybe not his best, but I think he's just going to be good. And so, in light of what we said about the config move, because I agree, Tech Girl, the really depressing thing was we spent so long waiting for dev1ce to join that config isn't even there when he joins. We wait all that time. Like, but imagine this team with dev1ce's. Oh, he's gone. Like, like he's finally there, but now config's gone. So I actually think there's actually, I'm already hyped to see him play properly anyway. So I'm just glad at the idea he did play a game in 2022. Anyone jump in?
Yeah, go for it.
I was waiting. I was trying to be polite. But like, I'm psyched. Like, I'm super psyched about this. I love dev1ce. I loved him when he was on Astralis before. I'm excited that he's back. I'm glad that he's popping off. My concern is the rest of that lineup as it is right now good enough? Right? Because his shoulders, are they really big enough? Even with BlameF's biceps, I mean, I just don't know if it's enough. Like, I feel like they're going to have to make a few other changes, and that's my only concern. If you're not making the changes now, then what we're going to spend the beginning of next year trying to figure out what that looks like. That makes me a little bit sad, because I kind of want that big return to glory. I want them to jump into their first big events and just blow everyone out the water. I want that for dev1ce, but I just don't know if they can do it. I'm excited that he's back and he still can perform the way he did, but I have some concerns.
What I find really funny about the situation is kind of like without anybody really noticing, Astralis just kept playing with Mr. instead of using Farlig as a rifler when they brought in dev1ce. Like,
they've never addressed it at any point. They haven't even said he's bench. I know exactly.
I was looking for it. I was like, shouldn't Farlig be a better rifler than Mr.? Surely, because at this level, I mean, he even on T side did use the rifle sometimes. Like, sure, CT will be a little bit awkward for him, but like, if he's just playing those kind of anchor spots or what Mr. was doing, I think he's probably more skilled than Mr. So I don't get why he's not in the lineup. But I know there was that rumor that they were shopping him for Stair, trying to swap him out, do a 1-for-1 with Sprout, which I actually think would probably benefit both teams. So I don't know why Sprout's too concerned about that. But no, I think that right now with dev1ce, my big take about dev1ce is just that, yeah, I think he's going to be really good too. I don't think that there's going to be really much catching up he has to do. He's always been more on the cerebral side. Of course, incredibly skillful. I think already in the games that he played against Heat, I only really caught some of the Heat game, and I saw that, like, if he gets like a window of opportunity, he's pretty good at just hitting the headshot as fast as possible. So I'm not really concerned about that side of things. And he actually played like fairly selflessly. Like, he wasn't just like usually I think when a guy comes from Face It after playing for super long, you probably think, oh, is he going to be too selfish? But no, I think he played well within the system. It was kind of the other people on the roster that, to me, didn't seem like they held up their end of the bargain. So for dev1ce, I think that this is just kind of like, there's very little you can hold against him after with all we're hearing from NIP's side of things, where it's like, dev1ce wanted to play, or at least that's what Richard intonated, that dev1ce wanted to play, NIP didn't want him to play, so that they could use basically welfare to pay him as opposed to paying out of their own pockets. I mean, all of that information.
You know what? You know how mad that is if you think about it. Because the reason, like I've always said, if people don't know, half of the information me and Richard have revealed about Astralis, half of it, which we're clear when it's the distinction, by the way, is real sourced information. But the other half is you just guess, because basically you have to try and figure out like what Snake and I am up up to today. And you just try and figure out this what the angle could be. And if you notice, I've nailed a bunch of those, even though I didn't always have the inside info. Like I told you, for example, there never would be a 10-man roster. That was just a way to make it not look like the players going inactive and trying to negotiate to go elsewhere. We're trying to go elsewhere. It made it look like, no, we're just, developing talent or some bullshit. But even so, like the reason why the Nip Astralis one has still more layers to the onion is because think about the combo. You've got Nip and Astralis. There's fuckery on both ends. Like, who can even unravel it? Because the genius there is you couldn't even figure out who the actual bad guy is. Like, is it actually Device? Or is it Astralis? Or is it Nip? Like, fucking hell. Like, no one knows. So, yeah, as you said, that's an angle that no one even thought of. Like, in theory, you're right. Like, they were using the Swedish government to pay this guy's salary to not play Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and I think that dispels the notion that this was Device taking like an extended mental break that I think some people became pretty skeptical of, and it almost felt exploitative of that label of like mental health. But in actuality, it's not even Device necessarily wanting to stay down and stay on the bench. So
it's more like mental wealth, if anything,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, or it's actual wealth.
Right, true. It's physical wealth, exactly. It's a hard point. Yeah. Although it's a cashless society in Sweden, but enough about flushes, tax, but I don't know, whatever. You figure out the joke. We'll focus group that one. By the way, the cool thing is as well, it's also just nice, Maui, by the way, as an aside, I agree, people from Faceit can be quite selfish, so shout out PGL Stockholm, Major 2021. But also, on other news, actually, this is my roommate that's coming back now, Mauisnake. You might not know this, but for the last few years, every time I've been walking around in that penthouse apartment I've got in Fallen's Head, Device has the other room, doesn't he? Because he's been owning the game. By the way, I only did that. That wasn't even that good. I only did that because I did say to Fallen on Twitter that like I won't roast him on Twitter for the next month because he took that picture with me at that event. But this isn't Twitter, Fallen. Understand? I have a multifaceted approach. I check the terms and conditions. I only agreed to Twitter. On Jaws, you still get this work. Don't even worry about that. So don't even worry about that. It's all good. It's all good. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.